Hey, I'm Roland with Mobile Geeks, and this is my quick unboxing and a couple of first impressions of the Huawei Ascend P7. So the Ascend P7 has just been announced yesterday at a launch event in Paris, and that's where I got this review device. And yeah, let's get started. So it comes in this pretty good looking white leathery or faux leather box, and you just pull this tiny little thing right there, and out comes the Ascend P7. Let's grab it down here and drag it out of the box. Slides out nicely. And there you go. That's the P7 5-inch Full HD panel, 6.5 millimeters thick only, and 124 grams, I think. But let's put it to the side for a second and dive a bit deeper into the box. So you just lift this part up right here. Let me just get this out first. And right there we have the manual box. In my case, I know that there's nothing in this box right now. I don't know why they didn't put anything in the review units. But you get this pin right here to open the SIM card and the SD card slot. And this is the accessory box. Let's take a quick peek in there. Should have the, come on, should have the headset for once. That is the very basic headset for the Ascend P7, so it's just a standard, not in earplugs, but standard headset. I don't know about the sound, probably not worth much, but nice to have. We have the micro USB cable right there, and that's the charger. So this is just a standard power brick, standard sized USB port right there. It charges at only 1.0 amps, so that could take a while to actually get this thing charged, because the SMP7 actually has a 2500 milliampere hour battery. So if you use the standard charger, it might take a while to get this charged. You can use any other charger that is rated at 2 amps, for example. That should also work on the P7. Now, let's talk about the phone itself. I have already set it up and turned it on, so I'm just going to unlock it right here. You get a 5-inch Full HD panel that is very bright. You can easily use that in the bright sunlight. Reflections are minimized by an OGS panel, so there's no air gap between the Gorilla Glass 3 that is on the front right here and the panel and the touchscreen, and the whole screen assembly is done as one single piece, so no air gap, less reflections. That's pretty neat. We have on-screen buttons right here, so no capacitive touch buttons. Huawei says there is the screen to device ratio right here is at somewhere around 76%, so that's pretty good. They have pretty small bezels at 2.75 millimeters. At least that's what they said yesterday at the launch event. And we have a Gorilla Glass 3 cover on the front and also on the back. Right now there's this foil on here. Let me just get this off for you. So there you go. That is the beautiful back of the P7. Has this bluish black hue to it, so they're calling this color the black blue version. And there's like a pattern in there that is produced by applying 7 layers of different finishes to have this radial metallic looking pattern under the Gorilla Glass 3 cover. Very nicely done, but also probably a heavy fingerprint magnet. Right now my fingers are pretty clean, so it doesn't really attract any fingerprints, but definitely attracting fingerprints probably a lot. So let's talk about the hardware. Again, Full HD IPS panel up here. Very bright, as I said. There's a Huawei own high silicon Kirin 910T processor in here. That's an ARM Cortex-A9 clocked at 1.8 gigahertz. 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of onboard flash storage, and a micro SD card slot. So when we take a quick look around the device in a second, you'll see how that is realized. We have a 2500 milliampere hour battery, as I said, an 8 megapixel front shooter, and a 13 megapixel camera on the back. So let's quickly run around the device and start out with the camera up front. So that's the 8 megapixel camera. It has 5 spherical lenses in there, so they've taken the tech that's normally on the back of the phone and moved that to the front, so it should be able to do really nice selfie shots. It also has like some special features that why they're calling this the Groovy phone. So you can make extended selfie shots using this while in portrait mode. So yeah, they have special stitching software in there. So when you move the device around while taking the selfie, it will stitch together the three or more whatever pictures to make one big pictures and have you and your friends in one big selfie. We have the brightness and distance sensors right next to the camera right here. This is the earpiece, and just above the earpiece there is a multicolor LED integrated right here. So we have a notification LED that lights up green when the device is fully charged. I think it's yellow while charging. I haven't gotten any messages yet on this, so I don't know if there's even whatever blue, for example, for Skype or stuff like that. Full HD panel, as I said, no on-screen buttons, but on-screen buttons, but no capacitive touch buttons. There's a Huawei logo down there, and the lower part of the device underneath that cover glass is covered in plastic because that's where the LTE antenna sits, and we have a mic right there and the micro USB port. On the right side you get this SIM card slot right there, and right next to that is the SD card slot. So this is a German version. In China there's going to be a model where this also doubles as a second SIM card slot. So there's only one tray in there, and you pull that out and you can put in either a SIM card or a micro SD memory card. So while traveling would be able to put in a local SIM, for example, and still have your standard SIM in the other port. That's the power button right there, nicely milled out of aluminum too, very well placed, I think, because if you're holding the device like that, easily reachable. Very well done, Huawei. Right next to that we have the volume rocker, and on top you get a noise cancellation mic plus the 3.5mm headset jack. There's nothing on the left, and that's pretty much it. On the front you get this 13 megapixel camera up here, including a flash, and down here we have a pretty loud but single mono speaker. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Tour around the device. The whole thing is only 6.5mm thick, weighs in at 124 grams, and it has a 2500 milliampere hour battery, as I said. Now let's talk about the software. They're using the new Huawei eMotion UI 2.3, where they have redesigned the icons quite a lot, actually. The brightness on the screen is very nice. It's somewhere above 460 candela, so it could easily be read in sunlight. But eMotion UI is again heavily modified. They have a bunch of their own widgets on here, and there is no app drawer. So as you can see, there's no icon for the app drawer down here, and they're just putting all the icons in this grid right here, and also add a bunch of pretty kind of weird looking up here folder menus where you can access all the features on the device. Yeah, and what they've also done is to make it easier to use the whole thing is integrate this thing right here on the side that is called, well, in German it's a floating menu or whatever that's called. They have a back button in here, home button, menu button, or multitasking button, the lock button, and a memory cleaner that's also easily available in this floating menu. So you can just pull that around, place it wherever you want, and have it easily accessible with one hand. And overall, I think the device is pretty nicely and compactly designed because it's at 6.5 millimeters. It's pretty thin, and I don't feel like it's going to break. But what the thinness does is actually I'm really easily able to reach over the screen and reach those back buttons down here. I don't really have to switch positions in my hand. Well, I have to get down here, but using that menu, that makes it easier to, or even more easy to use. So the design overall is pretty well done. It looks stunning in this 6.5 millimeter thickness, and it does a pretty good job at looking nicely, at least. About the performance, I've tested this with Antutu Bench, and I only get 25,000 hello ads. I only get just above 25,000 points. So compared to other devices, for example, let me just go back here. Compared to other devices, this really can't keep up with the up-to-date flagship phones like the Galaxy S5, for example, or the HTC One M8, because those guys get well above 30,000 points. S5, for example, gets 35,000 points, and this is actually pretty much on par with HTC One, with the HTC One from last year and the Galaxy S4 from last year, or a bit beneath that, or under that even. It's running Android 4.4.2, but that homemade or Huawei-made high-silicon Kirin 910T can't really stick it to the flagship smartphones from the other companies, at least regarding power. There's a Mali 450 in there, the same graphics part that's also in the MediaTek chip in the new octa-core. So yeah, we'll see about performance later on in another video. So overall, I really like the Huawei Ascend P7. It's a slick looking device and the price should be pretty much alright. In Germany it's launching at 419. That's the recommended price, but in retailers are already listing this for just above 370 euros. So that's a pretty good deal for a device as slick and nicely looking, and also pretty good performance, pretty good on the performance side as this one. So I've been rolling with Mobile Geeks, checking out the new Huawei Ascend P7. If you've liked this video, give us a thumbs up or subscribe to our channel. See ya!